Hi Virgos, welcome to your May 2019 Astrology 33 reading. Um, Celtic Cross spread as always, a lot of cards came out, and then we have two Oracle cards that we go through at the end to help tie everything together, and also a Mudra card, so there's plenty to get to. Let's jump right into it. Starting with the main situation position, and we have the Four of Swords. So last month the reading centered around loyalty or lack thereof. That was the title I gave your reading. So, I think you had some iffy situations going on, or at least one in particular. Kind of like the focus right now on this card. But yeah, all right, there we go. So what's interesting to me is this card actually represents the last 10 degrees of Libra, and that's where the full moon that I'm actually recording this on the 21st of April. So just went through that second full moon in Libra, and it was actually in these degrees. It was at 29 degrees, and this card represents the last 10 degrees of Libra. So this could just be saying that, that's the energy you were in around that time, just going through that healing energy, and maybe even still would be going through that until we get into the month of May. Maybe you're just still integrating the lessons that came through with that experience. Given that that was a full moon in the second house, it could have had you looking at self-worth issues, possibly. That's just one example. Just because, Libra being your second house, that's one of the things that can relate to is self-worth. And, if you went through some kind of a situation like that where a connection you had with another person, maybe they weren't treating you the way that you felt you deserved to be treated, and, maybe you basically stood up for yourself in that regard, and now you're just healing and recovering from that. That's the main vibe that I'm getting there. But, second house could be related to finances as well, so maybe you guys went through a little financial difficulty for a while. There are some cards that could point to that, where maybe your finances were a bit up in the air as well. And maybe you're just, maybe even possibly strategizing for how to move forward next, if that's the case too. So it's another possibility we'll throw out there. In the challenger obstacle position, you got two cards. You got the Hierophant and the Empress. So interesting. Again, these are two Taurus cards. So what's interesting about that, if you think about it, Taurus is the natural ruler of the second house. So these two cards could also be relating to second house issues. Especially, this card, the Empress. Typically, I view this as more of a Taurus card than a Libra card, but I mean, Libra is also ruled by Venus, so that could definitely be what's going on there. So, for some of you with this in the challenger obstacle position, maybe there's a job that you were with for a long time. Usually, if I look at this as more of a career thing, this would represent more of a large organization. So, corporation or just big company or just a company that's been around for a really long time, and maybe your challenge was to grow with the company, right? Maybe you felt like you were being passed up for promotions, and you're just treading water, and you're like, okay, well, I'm not getting any progress here. Maybe I need to reconsider. Do I still want to be with this company, or maybe take my talents elsewhere? And that could certainly be what's on the table, given that we have the Six of Swords at the bottom of the deck too. So it's at least a possibility. Now, going back to the love situation, especially with Ten of Cups in reverse in the foundation, maybe that previous connection you guys were dealing with last month, maybe you viewed it as something that had that long-term potential, right? Maybe you saw the potential for a family. I think I mentioned that as well with the South Node moving through your fifth house. Not to mention you have Saturn there, Pluto there. That could be a theme for you as well. Is do you want to, maybe you've been revisiting, do I want to have kids? Do I not want to have kids, right? And maybe this was someone you saw potentially going that route with, and now maybe with that relationship falling apart, you're reconsidering those things, like, okay, maybe I saw that with this person, and maybe the fact that you saw that maybe you weren't seeing that connection as clearly, maybe that had you reconsidering that altogether, like, well, if I can't trust that person, maybe I need to reconsider altogether. How would I feel secure enough to, let's say, start a family with someone when I thought this person was the real deal and it turned out not to be the case, right? Um, and another way this could be playing out too, keep in mind you have Uranus in your ninth house now, so that's also related to me, the big picture views, philosophy. So let's say the fact that you have Sagittarius is your fourth house and you have Jupiter there. So maybe that's had you reconsidering, family beliefs that you grew up with. That could be what the Hierophant energy can represent as well. Just those old traditional values, right? Maybe you thought, oh, I'm going to do the traditional thing, right? Oh, I'm going to get married by this age. I'm going to have this many kids, whatever the case may be. Maybe you've been reevaluating that with Jupiter moving through your fourth and now Uranus in your ninth. Maybe you've just been changing your philosophy around certain things in your life that you've held for a long time, and maybe you're finding that they're not working for you anymore. So that could be what's going on there. Now, in the foundation position, we have the 10 of Cups in reverse. So that is mostly what fueled a lot of what I was just saying there. And like I said, this definitely seems to be possibly a continuation of what was going on for you last month. And what's interesting to me as well is this card astrologically represents the last 10 degrees of Pisces. And that's where the Mercury retrograde had started. So, maybe that was a part of it as well. You're right there, you had that 7th house energy going. You had a chance to review things in that 7th house with the retrograde energy. Had you maybe reevaluating, okay, yes, maybe I thought this is what I wanted for myself, right? As far as how I wanted my relationship to be, I wanted it to be like this. I wanted, like I said, maybe I wanted kids, maybe you don't, right? Oh, and then you maybe realized, okay, this is like a pie in the sky type thing, right? Because, like I say to people, the 10 of Cups, it's an amazing card to have, but this could also point to possible disillusionment, right? Like you have those 10 cups up in the rainbow. That's a bit of a fantasy, right? So maybe with this in reverse, that's saying that that's really had you looking at your beliefs about what a relationship would be or should be, right? Maybe that particular connection that you saw fall apart, or maybe it's just having you reevaluating how you view relationships in general on a larger scale. Could play out either way. All right, in the past position, we have the 7 of Pentacles, and to me, I always try to say that a few things come to mind when I see this card. For starters, I view it as a combination of Venus and Mercury. So it's a Taurus card, and to me, it's like, all right, that's ruled by Venus, fixed energy, but then you have that Mercury energy coming in. So it's a time when you're reevaluating, right? This is the card that would come right before Gemini. So now you're starting to mentally process what's going on, right? So maybe this person's thinking to themselves, wow, it took me a really long time to get this many pentacles. I'm starting to feel a little worn out. I only have one more to show for it. I don't know if I have it in me to put in the work to get, let's see, 5 more of these pentacles, right? So that could be one thing there, evaluating. So looking at the time and energy you've put into something and wondering if it's worth continuing that process. And especially if it was related to that connection, I could see why you would feel that way. Another way is comparison too. I see that sometimes this reminds me of a comparison energy where this person is putting in their work and they're like, I don't get it. I put in just as much work as this person and this is how far along they've gotten, whereas I only have this much, right? So again, that could be, like I was saying, reevaluating your views you've had since early on in life, right? Maybe you thought by a certain age you were supposed to be married and have 2 kids or whatever the case may be, and now you're like, well, I look around at my friends in my age group and they're all there, I'm not, right? but maybe you're like, well, is that actually something that I still want to move towards anyway, or am I starting to find that, I have a different path that I want to follow? So that could be what's going on there. It doesn't have to be that deep either. Like I said, it could just be with the energies at play, especially, like I said, a lot of second house stuff going on there. Could just be regarding finances. Maybe you've taken some kind of a hit financially recently, and you're trying to recover from that and thinking about what step to take next. All right, in the present position, we have the Queen of Wands. So, what stands out to me about this, first of all, it's an Aries card. So, um, at the time I'm recording this, basically the sun had just moved into Taurus, but right now we're going to have Venus and Mercury going through that house for a pretty good chunk of May. And where your ruler goes, that tends to be where your focus goes. So with Mercury moving through the 8th house, maybe that's what your mind is on. That's finances of others, like let's say you are in a connection. Maybe if this was a marriage you were in, let's say, and now you're splitting up assets, maybe that's where your focus is right now. Could just be saying you're feeling frisky, quite frankly. It is the 8th house, can be related to sex. This could just be saying you're taking on a very independent energy as well, that Aries energy. Trying to think of what else. And the ruler of Aries, actually, which is Mars, is in your 10th house right now, too. So, again, that could just be relating to you changing your career, possibly, which we already covered as a possibility, your social status changing. So, if you go from in a relationship to single, that would be an example of that. So, that's definitely some of the things at play, but I'm really just picking up on this primarily more of you embracing a bit of a more independent spirit right now. And maybe a go-getter type spirit as well, because if we think about Aries, there's a bit of an aggressive energy in that regard. All right. In the near future position, we have the Two of Pentacles. So again, like I said, especially for those of you, if you took a financial hit of some kind, this could just be you trying to get your, dust yourself off and get back on track. Could just be trying to start something new as well. This is a Capricorn card as well, which would represent your 5th house, so it could definitely be related to even a love relationship. Maybe you're out of this relationship, or maybe now you're viewing a connection more clearly, right? Maybe you thought, oh, this is the person for me. Maybe now you've had to reevaluate that. Maybe something came out about that person, and now you're like, okay, yeah, I'm ditching that. Maybe that's what the 10 of Cups in reverse is pointing to, saying that your vision for that relationship, you've now tossed that because you're like, okay, obviously me and this person aren't going to work out together. Letting that go, and now maybe you have some new prospects on the table that you're thinking about, or possibly even just evaluating, do I want to pursue a relationship with anyone, or do I want to stay alone, right? That could be what's going on there, since we do have the Queen of Wands energy in the present. All right, in the position of your influence on the situation, we have your card, the Knight of Pentacles. So that's a pretty good thing to see. This could just be saying, again, now keep in mind what stands out to me more than anything, since we did have other Pentacle cards on the table, and we have that Four of Swords in the main situation, you're still feeling guarded, I feel like. Whatever the case may be, if this was a financial hit you took, or a relationship, or even just general life values and philosophies that you've really had shaken to the core recently for whatever reason, it's going to just be saying that you're feeling a little guarded, but you're moving forward, right? You're getting back on the horse, no pun intended, and moving forward. So this could be regarding, again, if you left one career path and you're pursuing another, maybe you're trying to decide between two sources of income, maybe you're ditching one of those and focusing on just one, right? Maybe there were two options you had at play. I could do this, or I could do this for a living. You finally decide, okay, this is the one that I'm going to pursue, and now you're moving forward on that path. Like I said, if this represents two different people, you could be moving towards one of those people now and trying to make an offer to them. Again, still guarded, because like I said, the Four of Swords energy is definitely a healthy energy to be in if you did go through some kind of breakup, because you actually, you know, what I always say to people with the Five of Swords, to me that represents like a skip step, because if you look at the guy in the Five of Swords, he's holding three swords. So to me that represents like thinking to themselves that they're over the Three of Swords energy that they had went through in the past. Oh yeah, I'm totally over that. Not realizing that they're not over it, and then they're causing people pain because of that, because they didn't take the time to properly heal. So the Four of Swords to me shows that you did handle it in the correct way. I feel if you went inward for a bit and really reevaluated, okay, what was the lesson for me to learn from this, right? Moving forward with that Six of Swords energy, and now you're feeling more back like yourself, back in your own energy, but still a little guarded, but moving forward and ready to make some kind of an offer to someone. In the position of the environment, we have the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Swords. So two aces, pretty good aces at that, right? I mean, you have the Ace of Cups, which could be a new love offer, and then you have Ace of Swords, which is usually truthful communication. And also it can represent sudden insights as well. What I usually say to people, I view the ace and the page as the same energy more or less. But with the aces, I do say, you always have like that cloud energy. So I say that to me, when I see aces, a lot of times to me, they represent more of a thought someone has, whereas the page would represent someone actually putting those thoughts into action, right? So maybe there's someone who has a thought of presenting, a love offer to you and speaking to you about how they feel, right? But maybe they're not quite ready to make that leap just yet. It's on their mind to do so, though, right? Maybe they saw what you went through, and they're like, okay, well, they just got out of something. They're probably not healed yet, so I want to let them know how I'm feeling, right? But I'm not quite ready yet. Um, but what I always say with the environment as well is that it could totally represent the energy of someone else, or it could just represent the energies at play in general having an influence on you. So this could also be you feeling this way. Maybe you're considering, okay, making an offer to someone, telling them how you feel, right? And maybe that's what that Knight of Pentacles energy represents. You wanting to tell someone, hey, you know, I'm into you, or hey, would you like to go into business together, right? Or hey, I'd like to accept the job offer you gave me, whatever the case may be. That's what those two ace energies would represent to me there. But either way, coming out of that Neptunian fog that we've been dealing with, and Mercury squaring Jupiter and all that stuff, and finally out of shadow and all that good stuff, all of this definitely should come out a lot better than it did. Maybe this was just an idea that you've had since then, or another person has had for you, and now it's finally going to move towards manifestation. Now, in the hopes or fears position, got a lot of cards that came up here. We have the Lovers, the Six of Pentacles, the Magician, and the Six of Cups. So, the first thing that came to mind for me is I view these as hopes, actually. I don't necessarily see a fear. These look like pretty positive cards. And I was trying to, think in my head, well, how would they fit together, right? So, looking at them now, the first thing that's coming to my mind is this could be saying that you are ready for a love relationship, right? Maybe you realized, maybe whatever the situation was, it helped you really, if nothing else, figure out, okay, this is what I actually want for a relationship. This is what I'm willing to do. This is what I'm not willing to do, right? So maybe it's really helped you reevaluate how you want to proceed in your love life. So that could be saying that you're looking for a balanced connection, or maybe if there's been an imbalance in a connection that you've been involved with, maybe this is you saying, okay, now I know what I need to do or what I'm willing to do in order to restore balance, right? And then with the Magician, that would be saying, and this is you actually taking the impetus to do that. So, okay, this is what I'm willing to do. All right, maybe this person's been putting in a lot of the work, right? Because I've been on the fence. I've been really reevaluating things, going through a bit of a heavy situation in my life. Now I'm out of that. I know which way I want to proceed. So now, okay, I know what I have to do to get things back on track with the connection. And now you're actually going to go out and do it. And with the Six of Cups, it shows that this is a connection that's probably been around for a while. Either that, or it could just be someone that you feel that type of connection with. Feels like very pure, innocent, maybe playful too, but maybe it just feels like someone you've known for a long time, or they make you feel comfortable. Like you could just be yourself around them. You don't have to put on any kind of fronts, right? You could just be your open, vulnerable self with them. That's the case, pretty cool stuff. But keep in mind it is just a hopes or fears, so there's definitely energy at play that would have this on your mind. But with it in this position, not necessarily going to play out, but to me, it's more of a mental process that you have for how to make it happen. And in the outcome position, everyone's favorite card, the Tower. And then we also have the Nine of Cups and the Sun. So that's one of those lessons, right? Never judge a book by its cover, because, all right, oh no, my outcome's the Tower, my month's going to suck. That's great. I just had a crappy month last month, right? When's it going to turn around? Surprise! So, what I'm seeing here is this could even be pointing to what you've already gone through. Like I said, there was that energy from last month where I was like, all right, loyalty or lack thereof, there was a connection that you might have thought was the real deal. And I can't remember if the Tower was in that reading. It might have been. Don't quote me on that, though. You guys would have to go back and watch it to make sure. But in any event, that could definitely be what it's tied to, because, if we look at what's behind that, the Nine of Cups and the Sun card, by far two of the most positive cards you could possibly get. So I really don't see this as anything major. Maybe if it was the other way around, if they came out in a different order, I'd say, oh, watch out. But I don't see you getting blindsided or anything. I see this as more of whatever needed to leave your life or does still need to leave your life. Once it's gone, it's really going to put you in a much better place. So I know for a fact you had the Sun last month that was here with the Two of Swords, and I had a cautionary tale around that. So I remember some of the layout. And then you had the Seven of Swords here, and I was saying, make sure you're not putting those blindfolds on and not looking at what someone in your environment was up to, but maybe that definitely leads me to believe that that's what this was about. That it's like, what might have seemed like the end of the world at the time, right? Oh my God, this was the real deal. I thought this was my person, Ten of Cups. Now it's flipped around. What am I going to do, right? That whole situation crumbles. You realize, you know what? Like I said, with that full moon that you might have had in your second house, well, not might have had, you did have in your second house of maybe had you reevaluating your self-worth and say, you know what? I know what I bring to the table. I bring a lot to the table. I deserve happiness, and boom, just like that, it comes your way. So, pretty good message there, right? But let's just say there is some Tower energy that's going to play out this month. Like I said, with these two cards behind it, I would not panic too much either way. But what I usually do say to people when I see the Tower card is I say, if you have black tourmaline, or even if you don't, you could pick some up. It's pretty cheap. Because when I look at this that always reminds me of the striations and raw black tourmaline. So you could carry some black tourmaline for protection. And I will say, I was looking at an ephemeris earlier and saw that the full moon in Scorpio is actually going to be opposite Algol, which is a fixed star, and it's a bit of an iffy energy. So watch out around the time of the full moon in particular. That would be a full moon between your third house and ninth house. So keep in mind with travel, if you can, avoid traveling around the full moon. That's, I'm pretty much fishing for a potential negative thing that could happen. Just because we do have the tower there, but I really see that playing out as positive, so don't freak out. But yeah, I would say if anything, if you have travel plans for the full moon, just be careful around those few days, just because of that reason. All right. And ironically, I say that, then I pick up the first oracle card, 26. I'm pretty sure that's the degree where the full moon would be 26 degrees of Scorpio, because like I was saying, I was like, okay, that's going to be opposite Algol, which is at 26 degrees Taurus. So definitely keep that in mind. But again, even with that, happy. So I really don't think anything bad's going to happen necessarily, but can't hurt to just be a little careful around those few days if you can. All right. So the card we got here is happy. There's the artwork for it, and the number is 26. We'll take a look at the messages for that. Okay, it says joy and contentment, a sense of fulfillment, a feeling that all is well. The Oracle's message: your desires are effortlessly fulfilled now. Find joy in the present moment, whatever is happening, and be satisfied with things as they are. You're free from the shackles of longing and able to experience the liberation that comes from actually being happy moment to moment, for you have chosen happiness over yearning for it. Now is the time for feeling joy for the sake of joy and experiencing contentment. None of this is because of something outside yourself. Your happiness is a result of your being at one with Spirit's plan for your life. All is well. The tide is in for now. Enjoy playfully splashing in it. So that could be it. Like I said, maybe this last situation you went through, and like I said, that full moon being in your second house could have just really had you reevaluating your self-worth and saying, you know what, with that Nine of Cups there, like I said, in the outcome, I know what I bring to the table. I deserve nothing less than happiness. That would be why the sun's beneath that. And once you really start to truly believe that for yourself, sometimes that brings that energy into your life. All right, the relationship message says there are moments in a relationship when you just feel good about whom you're with, and you know that your heart is wide open to befriend, to love, and to care for another without wanting anything in return. This is the kind of happy that you just want to share. The appearance of this card in the reading tells you that joy and contentment are here now, not somewhere else or off in the future. The grass is greenest right where you stand. Be grateful and delight in your relationship, and if you're seeking one, be happy now. Happiness attracts more of itself like bees to honey. Well, that's pretty funny. We basically just said that. But yeah, I mean, Knight of Pentacles, there's something to be said for that too, right? Whether you want to say that you view the Virgo energy, your own energy, as very happy energy or not, being yourself, authenticity often tends to attract what you need as well. So could just be as simple as that. Even if you're not quote unquote feeling very happy, just be yourself. Things will come your way. All right, the prosperity message says this is the time to take pride in your accomplishments. You're doing good work, providing exceptional service, and are well compensated for it. The world rains gratitude upon you, and you're happy with the results of your efforts and creativity. Isn't it amazing to consider all that you have done? Remember your partnership with Spirit in this moment, too. Your soul has always known you could accomplish anything if it brought you joy. So, again, maybe that's what the environment stuff is going on there too, right? Maybe you get a sudden insight about a new creative project you could do that would bring you happiness. Like, oh, you know what? Let me try this, and then you pursue it and it ends up bringing you the happiness that you wanted. Like I said, with the tower, especially with the accompanying cards too, it could just be sudden changes. It doesn't always have to be negative. So, of all the potentials for the tower, I'm definitely seeing if it's not just pointing to what you already went through, and now that's gotten you on the firm footing you need to be on to draw in the happiness that you were seeking. It could just be saying that even if you do have some sudden change, it could be for the best, whether you view it that way immediately or not. Now, the second oracle card you guys got is Dog Spirit. Be loyal to what you love. And what's crazy is I'm like 99.9% sure this was the card you guys got last month, but it came out in reverse. So that's pretty cool too. So, maybe this last connection that you did go through that went south, maybe it was that last test to really see, okay, you say this is what you value, you say this is what you're worth, right? But are you really going to stand by that, right? So maybe that was like that test to see, okay, this person goes through this, are they just going to take it, or are they actually going to move on from that connection and say, I know I deserve better, right? So maybe, if anything, that's a symbol that you're on the right path here, having that now flipped into the upright position. So now this month we get to read the message for the upright for this card. Let me get that ready. Alright, it says, Dog Spirit appears to remind you that although change is a part of life and all of us are meant to evolve, our love and commitments remain strong. You are loved now and can trust that this higher love is true. Spirit loves you, and love has arrived in many forms now, manifesting in the people you surround yourself with, expressed uniquely through them. Dog Spirit also says, be true to that which you love, for now is a time of good fortune. Be steady as you recognize that people and things are always transforming. Your heart is loving and true, and Dog Spirit wants you to know that your steadfast commitment to experiencing and expressing love will attract and manifest more love. You deserve all of it. Have faith in Spirit's plan for you. So yeah, definitely sounds like a much cooler message in the upright, right? So now we have that out of the way, and the last thing that we have is a mudra card. So for those of you who haven't been watching my videos, starting this year, I started pulling a mudra card for each sign, and basically what mudras are there gestures that you would do with your hand. Sometimes one hand, like this one, sometimes it's both. But the general idea behind them is they're meant to help clear up blockages. Sometimes it's a mental blockage, emotional, sometimes even physical. And depending on the mudra itself, they're meant to help with different types of blockages. So the one that you guys got this month is the Kashyapa Mudra, and the keyword for it is preservation. That's the mudra itself, and basically what you'd have to do is hold it for about 5 minutes. If you're more of a seasoned meditator, then you could go half an hour or even 45 minutes. But if you're new to meditating, definitely go with like a 5-minute window. That should do the trick. Now let's turn it around so we can look at the additional information for it. So I'll just hold this here for a bit in case you guys want to take a screenshot or, just pause it to read what it says. Alright, and I'll move it up a bit so you can see the rest. Alright, so you can see it says there, as far as benefits, it says grounding and centering, balances masculine and feminine qualities, protects against negative energies and unfriendly or confused spirits, sometimes called orphan spirits. Alrighty then, kind of interesting. Let's see, note. It says Kashyapa Mudra can also be used as a protective seal placed in the small of the lower back during energetic purification of a room or building, a practice similar to what is commonly called smudging in Native American traditions. In this case, the mudra is formed with the left hand while the right holds a stick of incense or bundle of dried sage. Interesting. So what I'll do is I'll actually put the name of that mudra in the description as well, as always. So you guys, if you wanted to look into it more, you can. But hearing that and thinking about what I was saying with the Tower card and possibly picking up some black tourmaline, maybe smudge your space too. That wouldn't be a bad idea. You could try sage or even Palo Santo if you don't want to use sage. either of those, maybe you just really need to cleanse your energy, you know, especially if you were going through a bunch of heavy stuff. It wouldn't hurt to just cleanse your space in that way, you know, just a simple smudging. Um, so maybe that's why that message came up for you guys. But yeah, we'll wrap up there. If you guys want to book a personal reading with me, you can check out the description for more info on that. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'll put the link for that there as well. And aside from that, I'll see you guys next month. All right, bye.